welcome to you, Ricky Martin. Now, I have to say, I read this over the weekend. I read it on Saturday, and my wife called me a traitor. She said, what are you doing reading another book? You should just be reading my book. And here's what I learned. First of all, it's congratulations. I think you wrote a really great book. But I learned that you're incredibly famous. I had no idea how famous. I mean, I knew you were famous. I knew Menudo. I was a fan early on. I knew.
Not long ago.
Not that long ago.
Not that long ago.
I mean, you have been the amount of success you've had. The World Cup song that you wrote. Everything.
Look at this guy.
Look at that. Look at that hard worker who was making $400 a month.
That was right before a mullet. I used to have a mullet.
Who didn't?
Right?
They were very popular. We got sucked in. Now, and you're a humanitarian. You do so many good things, and so I learned a lot about you. But I really didn't know the level of success that you've had throughout your whole life. And then when you wrote the book, did you write the book with the intention that, okay, it's time for me to come out, or were you writing about something else and that was just along the way?
I had no idea what was going to happen. I started writing about my foundation, and I started writing about my trips to India and how important they were for me, because they were a very important part of my spiritual journey. And then, you know, you sit in front of the computer, and then you start adding, and then you delete, and then you add, and then you delete, and a very, very important part of the puzzle is missing.
Right.
And that is why you went to India. Oh, first of all, why you started your philanthropic work? Well, because I went to India and I met beautiful girls that were unfortunately forced into prostitution. Why did you go to India? Because I was trying to run away from the music business. Why were you trying to run away from the music business? Because I was being asked about my sexuality. And I was not ready to answer about my sexuality.
Right.
So it was like very logical, one after the other. So and then all of a sudden I wrote, and I said, oh my God, it feels amazing just to write it. Imagine what it would be to say it.
Yeah.
And it's all about my children.
Well, yeah, because you don't want to, you want to be and you are going to be an amazing father. You already are, but when I read what you talk about and how you want to raise them, beautiful, beautiful boys. Now, did you feel when you saw, because I saw that you wrote a letter when you saw some hate crimes happening early on, before you even came out.
Right.
Did you think, wow, I could be a great role model if I only did you feel responsible? Because I know you said when people questioned you, it pushed you further in the closet because you were anxious about it. But did you feel responsible, like that you should do it?
I started feeling responsible. Ellen, I think everybody has to go through their own process. When you're not ready, you're not ready. You have to go through a spiritual path. It doesn't matter if it takes you 10, 15 years since the moment you realize or you understand who you are. You cannot be forced. Right now, children, unfortunately, you know, we're talking about bullying. Children are being bullied because they're gay, and they're committing suicide. Children are committing suicide because they're being outed. And it's because if you're not ready, you're just not ready.
Right.
So I started writing this letter about acceptance, and I said, how can I not be completely honest in this letter? And I think I talk about it in the book. This is a great way for me to just let go of everything that I'm carrying, that it's so heavy.
Right.
Because I was honest about the acceptance and the hate crimes, but imagine if I could have said, and I know what it is to be bullied, and I know what it is to be discriminated. Then again, that was not my moment. It took me, what, maybe 2-3 more months after that? Right. Yeah.
Well, I think, you know, and when you say these kids are committing suicide because they're being outed, I don't know if it's necessarily that they're being outed. Some may have not even been gay. They're being called very nasty names, and unfortunately, you know, that word, faggot or queer or whatever, is a word that is very hateful, because there aren't enough role models. If people in every walk of life, if you're a doctor, if you're in any business, if parents knew that it's not so bad, they wouldn't be so scared for their kids, and kids wouldn't be so scared to grow up and know that there are options and you can be happy and healthy.
And it's great.
Yeah.
For me,